Hello, everyone. Hope you had a good day. I had a pretty good day, despite despite everything. I do have something really crazy to share. Um, I'm debating on whether I should share it. I'm really debating. I mean, I am gonna share it, but I am debating on whether I should or I should not because of how crazy it is. I never thought I would say this one day, but something absolutely insane happened to me today. Hey, Jem Jem, how's it going? How are you? I hope you're okay. Warfare ain't no joke. If only you knew. My wife is she's doing well. She's doing really well. She asked me to go get her some soda at the store, and I bought myself some ice cream because she had ice cream in the freezer. So I bought myself some ice cream, and she got mad that I didn't get her ice cream. And I was like, "Don't you have some?" And she was like, "But it's almost gone." So she was upset. I'm not gonna make that mistake again, is what I'm saying. I'm doing well. I'm doing well. Walaikum salam, Gracie. Hey, Lorna. How's it going? Guys, something absolutely insane happened to me. Um, I'm debating on whether to share it or not, but at the same time, I know that you guys will believe me when I share it. Screw it. I'm gonna share it. It's just something that if I was to tell the people close to me, they would be like, all right, this is it. Stop all of it. You're losing it. Um, I can't fucking believe I'm about to say this. So yesterday I was thinking about PETA. You know, everybody knows PETA, right? The People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals. I was thinking about PETA, and I was thinking about the fact that Waka Flocka, the rapper, did an ad for them at one point. That was before he started doing like EDM music, I guess, or house music. I don't know. But I was thinking about PETA, and then I went to my fridge and I saw some yogurt, and I thought to myself, is there protein in this yogurt? I wonder if I could add it to my puppy's milk because I have a puppy that I'm that I'm bottle feeding, right? So I'm making the milk for him because mom ran out of milk, and as I'm looking at this, and these are all things I was thinking in my head. I did not say a word of it. I wasn't talking to anyone. I did not engage in conversation with anyone about what I was thinking. I just thought it. I open my fridge, I see the yogurt, and I go, I wonder if I could add this to the milk to add some protein. And then I asked myself in my head, is there protein in yogurt? I turned the yogurt and I saw that there was. So I thought to myself, oh, I'm gonna add this yogurt to my puppy's milk. That was yesterday. This morning I wake up. Like many of you, the first thing I do when I wake up is often Open my phone up, right? So I open my phone up, go straight to the Facebook app. The first ad I see is a PETA ad. I thought that was weird. It was a strange coincidence, right? I did not say PETA. I did not search PETA anywhere. I have no reasons to. I don't like PETA, to tell you the truth. I'm for the ethical treatment of animals, but PETA euthanizes a lot of animals. So, what they say and what they do don't really match. So I open up my phone, I see a PETA ad, and it was about a chicken, like this chicken has, this chicken that was being treated as a pet, which I thought was really cute. It was really great. And on the subject of eating meat, I have to say that I agree we should all be vegetarians. We shouldn't eat meat, but I'm not vegetarian. I eat meat every day. But I do have a bit of cognitive dissonance when it comes to eating meat. Cut the story short. I scroll, and the next ad I see is an ad for yogurt. The exact same brand of yogurt that was in my fridge. Siggy's is the name of the yogurt brand. And the tagline says, "Try our new formula with added protein." And I just looked at that and I thought, what is going on here? Believer said, asked me if I had surgery in the past 8 years. I've never had surgery. No. I mean, no, I haven't had surgery. But I've been hearing people talk about this, saying that this V2K stuff is not just hearing voices. They're reading our minds. I've heard about it. I've heard about it in documentaries, I've heard about it in this documentary, the Cognitive Liberty documentary. In the first one that I saw, which was Mind Control, Cognitive Liberty, Mind Control, and the second one that just came out, which is called Dystopia, I believe. And these people are talking about they can read our minds. And, when people first started talking to me about V2K, voice to skull, hearing voices, I thought, come on, man. Come on. I'm being gangstalked here. Can you be serious for a second and not, muddy the water here? Like, no one's going to take us seriously if, you're on my side talking about your hearing voices. Like, I'm actually being tortured. Be serious for a second. If you're hearing voices, take your meds, is what I thought. And it took me a few months of researching it with an open mind to realize, no, these people are not lying. They can hear voices, and it's not a mental illness. Voices are being beamed to them. When I saw this video of this college professor holding up this, sort of V2K machine, and he was just beaming voices at his students, I just thought to myself, and he's saying, like, doesn't it sound like it's coming from your mind? And the kids in the class are like this, like as if it was coming from inside their heads. And there's no sound that we can hear, that we can decipher, right? But they can hear it clear as if it was coming from their heads. So I started believing in V2K after a while. And then what happened is I interviewed a couple of people who basically were telling me, like, for example, AJ, Gangstalk Talk with AJ. He was telling me that he hears V2K. And then he was saying that the V2K will respond to things that he's saying or things that he's thinking. And I also interviewed Andrew McCready, and he said the same thing. It will respond to things that you're thinking or things that you're saying. And, I'm not going to say I did not believe them. I believed them, just not 100%. Because, yeah, it took me a few months to believe that they can beam voices into your head. It took me a little while, you know, but I got there. Even though it's never happened to me, I got there. I got to the point where I was like, no, this is probably real. This is probably happening. The likeliness of it being completely untrue is just very low. There's a high likelihood that it is true. It is happening. But when they said they can read our thoughts and they're responding to our thoughts, I thought to myself, I'm gonna need I'm gonna need some time to fully believe that. But I've heard it from many people, and I've heard it from people that I find to be credible, like Andrew and AJ. But here I am. I can only confirm that it is true. There was this lady that was talking about, I think it was like on a World Health Forum or um, the World Health Organization or the some forum of some kind. She was on stage talking about it, and she was saying that we can decipher people's thoughts, and everybody's like in the crowd is clapping and stuff, and I'm just like, this girl just told you that they have technology to read people's minds. Are you paying attention? So I knew that this coincided with the experiences of people, which makes you know, the whole concept of people being able to read your mind possible. But today I believe it. I believe it. Because many of the harassment tactics that have been used against me have involved targeted ads. So, like, for example, I'll go through a situation, or they'll put me through a situation and then target an ad at me on Facebook or Instagram, or sometimes X as well, to sort of let me know that, you know, it was them, or they saw it, they're aware of what happened, whatever. But here I am. I'm telling you, guys, I'm telling you, I did not have a conversation with anyone. As a matter of fact, the only person I saw yesterday was my wife. I didn't have a conversation with my wife about PETA. I didn't have a conversation with my wife about yogurt, or anyone for that matter, ever. Or at least I haven't had a conversation about yogurt in the past few years, or PETA for that matter. And now, hold on, there's a gang stalker in the chat. Your channel sucks, dude. Your channel sucks. Be quiet. Yeah, okay. So I just wanted to check out his channel. Um, but yeah, I didn't think that. I didn't think. I didn't. I wasn't 100% on it. You know. Oh, there's another gang stalker. Damn. I mean, I expected them to come out. Especially. Well, I mean, they always come out every time I do a live, but I expected them to come out and kind of and try to, mess with me. I mean, the whole goal of the gang stalk, the gang stalking is they're trying to get a reaction out of you. They're really trying to get you to, you know, uh, lash out. They're trying to get you to um, crash out, right? That's really their ultimate goal. Their ultimate goal is to turn you into a Myron May or an Aaron Alexis or, all of the many targeted individuals who have reacted. Looking at my group chat, and because I told my group chat before I told people, I told you guys here, and there's this guy, Average Joe, who confirmed that it is happening, and now David is also saying that it's happening to other. Oh, he's saying that it's happened to him as well. I'm just gonna ask him if this happened to him as well. Anyways, but yeah, I mean, they're not gonna get a reaction out of me. I know who Sabrina Wallace is. Unfortunately, I would say that her content is not for me. I find her to be very. I mean, she's very intelligent, you know, but her content is just not for me. Like how she formulates it is just not for me. I find her abrasive, and this has nothing to do with like her personally. It's more of a me thing. I find her delivery to be abrasive. I don't know if you'll agree or not. Doesn't matter. A lot of people enjoy her content, and I enjoy what she talks about. It's just I always feel shittier after. I'm sorry. But yeah, it has nothing to do with her personally. She's very knowledgeable, and she's gracious to share her knowledge with everybody else, but it's just not for me. I think we have another gang stalker. Let's see. Let's see your channel. Oh, no. Actually, it's a targeted individual. My bad. Well, how you doing, Get a Life? Good morning. I was on your page a few days ago. I think it was from a comment that you left on my page that caught my attention. But I do remember being on your page like 2 days ago or something like that. Yeah, no. Truth Rises. The information she puts out there is really like it's on point, and she speaks really fast, which is not something that I can't appreciate. I appreciate people who talk really fast. Like for example, when I get my news, usually I haven't watched very much lately, but I used to get my news from Philip DeFranco, and the reason why I like getting my news from him is because he speaks really fast. Um, it's really more her delivery. I find her abrasive, and she knows she's abrasive. She just doesn't care, which I can respect. But yeah, I don't necessarily like it. Billy Carson. I believe I know who that is. Yeah, I know who that is. Man. Guys, they can read our minds. And I've been thinking about this all day long. I wasn't thinking about like telling you guys. Maybe I was. I don't know. But I was more thinking about it all day because I was thinking to myself, if they're able to read people's minds, they're able to spy on people, they're able to read people's minds. This means that they could stop all crime if they really wanted to. They could stop criminals. Of course, they won't because they are criminals. I mean, look at what they're doing, right? I'm not a criminal. You're not criminals. Yet here you are, the test subjects for a torture program. But it just lets you know that it kind of lets you know where it confirms where their priorities are. I mean, when I saw that none of the people running the operation, and you'll know what I'm talking about when I finish my sentence, but when I saw that the people running the operation, the two people running the operation were arrested, but none of the clients are arrested, you kind of knew, like, it was no longer a mystery what was going on. But yeah, I mean, it really lets you know that this is a like these are criminal organizations. Our government is they're criminals. Comedian genius? Who's a comedian genius? I want to laugh. I want to laugh. I like laughing. But yeah, like it really lets you know that this world is being run by criminals because they could use this technology to eradicate crime or at least bring justice, but they're not doing that. They're targeting innocent people, and they seem to really relish in the destruction of innocent people. Yeah, Jem said something really important. They read minds. That's how people end up hurting themselves. That's why folks must be careful with AI. You couldn't pay me to use AI. I will never use AI. I wanted to talk about something else as well. Guys, give me just 1 second. Just a second. You gotta wait for me. Won't you stay with them? There you go. Sorry about that. What did you say? One of the many ways I know they can read my mind is that they know as soon as I notice them, it gets very in depth. But a simple example would be the exact second I glance up and see a stalk car, it will do a thing to let me know that it's a stalker. This may be turning off or on its headlights, or slowly pulling away, or the person inside opening their door to exit. And this happens through some very, very long sight lines to the point where I know they can't visually look at me. Old school to see that I just looked their direction. Rather, it's as if they are getting the cue from a remote third party satellite or whatever that has real time access to what I'm thinking, seeing, doing. They'll even respond to my movements, what I'm looking at while I'm inside my house, where they obviously can't see my face, but rather somehow have access to my brain real time, either directly or through a third party to know when exactly to do their thing. I think it's fairly public info that you can kind of recreate an image of what a person is looking at by reading their brainwaves. Yes, I've heard that. I was just talking about that. I just didn't realize it could be done so remotely and without wires, machinery. Don't look for what I was reading. This is not in the chat. It's in a group chat that I'm a part of, and I'm not gonna say who's writing to me, but it's another targeted individual who's confirming that they can indeed read our minds. You know, this is nutty. This is really nutty. Finding the speed dial on YouTube, game changer. Yeah, absolutely. When people start talking real slow, I'm like, yo, spit it out. Or even when I'm having a conversation with someone who's talking really slow, I'm like, this is torture. This is absolute torture. Like I finished your sentence 5 times in my head by the time you got to the end. This is hurting me. Sorry. Yeah. I I actually wanted to talk about a story involving AI. So there's this company called NV Energy in California and Nevada. It provides electricity to Californians and Nevadians. I don't know. And they just sent out letters to residents of Lake Tahoe in Cali to let them know that they will no longer be providing them with electricity. They sent them a letter saying, "We will no longer be providing your town with electricity. We will be focused solely on providing electricity to data centers." So they're basically abandoning human as beings, people, to provide energy to data centers, and they let them know in their letter, you have 1 year to find a new provider for your energy, a new energy source. That's easy. That doesn't sound like a hassle or something that's going to be very costly. Or something that's basically going to cost you your home. Like you're going to have to move now. You're going to have to sell your house at a loss and move because NV Energy is greedy enough to abandon you to provide energy for a data center. Thank you for your loyal, you know, uh, thank you for being a loyal customer for all of these years. You know? So yeah, I was looking at that. The story came out today, actually. I think today or yesterday, I don't know. But yeah, this is. I mean, imagine like where I am. There's only one company that provides electricity. It's Hydro Quebec. It's called Hydro Quebec. And imagine, I can't even imagine if Hydro Quebec said, "Hey, we're no longer going to be providing electricity in your time in your town. You're gonna have to figure something out. Figure out, a different company." There is no other company. They have a monopoly on that. But it's like as if they told me, like, you're gonna have to figure out a different way to, to get electricity in your home. And you know, I think it's also very funny how the way that these AI companies and these politicians and these people that are behind these data centers, the way that they act is very typical of like narcissistic abuse because they're hurting you. They're actually hurting you. And if you start speaking up against what they're doing, which is building their data centers, putting up their flock cameras and stuff like that, if you start speaking out against that, they call you domestic terrorists because you're against progress or you're against their plans. They're saying you're a domestic terrorist. It's like, no, no, you're attacking us. You're hurting us. You're terrorizing us. We're the good guys. Meanwhile, they're screwing you quite literally. I mean, you got to figure for this is not Timbuktu or, Lake Minnetonka. We're talking about Lake Tahoe. NV Energy contacted the residents of Lake Tahoe to let them know next year we'll be moving on from people. We're going to prioritize data centers. We will no longer be prioritizing people. Whatever holes you have to dig, you know, to have power lines that, connect to the next source, that's going to be on you. You're going to have to pay for that, figure it out. But we're not, we're dropping you. And if you speak up against them, you're bad. You're a bad individual. You're a danger to society. How dare you terrorize us and hurt us? You know, I saw something. I read a comment. A woman left a comment below a video regarding if you speak up, they attack you. Yeah, they do. I read a comment. This lady, I don't know who this lady is, but she made my entire day. I mean, I was smiling from ear to ear when I read her comment under this news story about data centers and this energy company abandoning people. And someone said, "This is insane. How do we even, what can we even do against this?" You know? And she just responded with one sentence, a very cryptic answer if you don't understand the reference of what she's saying. But she said, "You should watch the movie Ants." And I knew what she was talking about immediately. I laughed out loud. You know, I wanted to friend her on Facebook. Like it was at that point, I was like, I like this lady. Who is this? This was such a great answer. You should watch the movie Ants. If you don't know what I'm talking about, there's this scene in I haven't seen the movie Ants. Just to let you know, I haven't seen it. The reason why I knew what she was talking about is because there is this scene in the movie Ants where these bigger bugs who are dominating the ants and basically exploiting them. I don't know the movie. I just saw that scene. And you know, this group of bigger bugs that are exploiting the ants, uh, they were dealing with some ants that were rebellious and they were reporting to their boss and they were saying, these bugs, these little ants, they were rebellious, but it's no big deal because they're so tiny, it doesn't matter. And the boss was looking at the guy reporting. He was like, "Really?" And so he took a nut or something and he just threw it at his head. And he said, "Did that hurt?" And he said, "No, it's a tiny tiny little nut. It didn't hurt. And then he threw another one and another one. I said, "Did that hurt?" He said, "No." And then he opened up like a bottle of nuts, and it just dropped all over him. And the ant that was the bug that was reporting to the boss, like he's under all this rubble, you know. And then the boss was explaining, these ants, they're small, but you have to understand that if they work together to overthrow us, they are more numerous than us, you know? Like it's not about one little ant, it's about upholding our lifestyle. And we depend on them being subservient to us. But if we allow one of them to rebel, soon all of them will rebel and we won't be able to stop them. And again, I didn't see the movie. When she wrote that, you should watch the movie Ants. Immediately I knew what she meant. I knew what she was talking about. She was like, you should watch the movie Ants. And I was like, God, that's such a great answer. Yeah. They can read our minds, people. They can read our minds. I just wrote that, like, when I wrote that in my group chat, the first thing I said was, I can't believe I'm sharing this shit. That was the first sentence I said, because I can't believe I'm talking about this. I can't believe I'm confirming, yes, they can read our minds. It was such a nutty um idea to me that I was just like, I mean, I wouldn't say I don't believe all of these targeted individuals who are telling me this, but I mean, not 100%. And now here I am. I'm like, yeah, I think they're reading our minds. Rage baiting on social media, you know, long ago, long, long ago, maybe 15 years ago, I learned not to argue with strangers online. What a waste of energy. What a waste of energy. Arguing with strangers online or people online. I wouldn't argue with anyone I wasn't face to face with. As a matter of fact, no one. Because people are always going to be very brave and very disrespectful, you know, when it comes to when it comes when it comes to arguing with with folks online, because they're not face to face with you, you know. And you'll have a lot of people that are, a lot of people who are hated on, online, or who are hated. They often say the same thing, like, hey, all this hatred that you speak of, that like I receive, I'm supposed to receive from people. I don't see any of it. No one is unkind to me face to face. As a matter of fact, I think this guy, Andrew Tate, said that during like a TMZ interview. He was like, you know, there is no hatred for me. Like, make no mistakes. All this hatred for me that you see on the internet on a day-to-day basis, no one comes up to me and gets disrespectful with me. So, hold on, there's a gang stalker in the chat. I just want to see his page before one of you bans him. You don't even have any videos on your page. You got 2 subscribers. Put user in timeout. You're in timeout. But yeah, I wouldn't argue with anyone online, because you argue with someone online and they'll say things. I mean, their goal is not to like come to a truth or to an agreement or anything like that. Their goal is to irritate. It's to irritate you. It's to get a reaction out of you. So so of course they're gonna say things that are super disrespectful because what are you gonna do about it? Seethe? Get mad from behind a computer screen? What a waste of energy. I mean, there are so many like more productive things you could do with your time, like counting the amount of forks you have in your home. That's more useful. Notice how it's a useless activity? It's still more useful than arguing with some dude online. You just made his day. You just ruined your energy, you know? Exactly. Arguing drains your energy. Yeah. So I learned this lesson maybe 15 years ago. Like, never argue with anyone online. Anybody who gets disrespectful with me is like immediately ignored or blocked. Because the truth is, if you said these words in front of me, in my face, it would either be because you're a courageous fellow, which is, if you are a courageous fellow, you wouldn't argue with people online. You're arguing with people online, you're getting disrespectful with people online because that's where, you feel safe. So, yeah. Not sure if in the past month or so, I've had my gang stalking neighbor telling me she's telepathic, and some random guy on the beach struck up a convo and mentioned telepathy. Not sure if they're playing with me or not. I mean, probably. More than likely. Yeah. Don't talk to them. Don't talk to them. If you feel like someone is playing with you, just stop talking to them. Do you believe robots are created to take over mankind? I don't know. I don't know. No idea. He says, uh, yeah, it's definitely a process. Coming to terms with the fact that they can read our minds is definitely a process. I miss when I was ignorant. I remember the moment when I realized 100% it sucked so much and freaked me out, but now it's just part of my life. Well, I'm living it today. Like it's insane. And I was just watching this episode of The Boys. The last episode that just came out. I think it came out today or yesterday. I don't know. But I was just watching this episode where basically, I mean, I don't want to spoil it. I'm not going to spoil it, but they were basically using psychics to read people's minds, and the people that were not thinking the proper thoughts were dealt with. You know, I saw this thing, again, I saw it on Facebook. I saw this sort of meme where you have like Mr. Bean. Everybody knows who Mr. Bean is. Mr. Bean is the comedian that doesn't talk, he never speaks. Rowan Atkins, he never speaks. He just does like physical comedy. and there's just this picture of him looking at the next guy's, exam or whatever and copying off of him. And what was written under the guy doing the exam was, uh, authors writing dystopian futures. And then under Mr. Bean was our government, just like watching and copy, just, because you read books like, what was it? Orwell, 1984. Yeah, 1984 by George Orwell. And you read how he's like living in a dystopian future. I mean, of course, it was the future when he wrote it. 1984 was the future. Because I think he wrote it in what, the 60s? 50s. No, 49 actually. So he wrote it in 1949, and he was basically saying how 1984 would be, where like it's a super dystopian future where you must, like, Big Brother is watching you at all times, like the government is spying on you at all times, and you must comply with everything that they say, and you must be grateful for your government and pledge allegiance and all kind of stuff. And if you don't, then they torture you and punish you and blah blah blah. I'm sorry, what? Yeah, 1776. Yeah, well, I don't know about that. I don't know about that anymore, I think we were lied to. But yeah, like he's talking about a dystopian future where the government is controlling everything, and there is no such thing as privacy, and everybody is an agent for the government. Everybody's working for the government. Everybody's informing on everyone else to the government, and like a police state, right? Like Zersetsun on steroids, you know. It's my dog scratching his bed, trying to make it more comfy somehow. But he goes really hard and he's destroying it. Neo! Neo! He can't hear me. He's going super hard. He's like, buy me another one, buy me. But yeah, like you read 1984, and you think, well, the government would never do that, and blah blah blah, and you tell people, and now you realize, oh, they're already doing it, and you tell people they're already doing it, and they're like, no, they're not. They would never do that. Our government is not spying on people, to, you know, and torturing them, and like creating specific torture programs, adjusted to specific people, and making it very personal. Like, you know, they're not just gonna V2K you. If you have a tough relationship, if you had a tough relationship with your dad who's gone, they're going to V2K your dad's voice at you, saying horrible things to you. If you're religious, they'll say they're an angel or a demon. If you have a tough relationship with your neighbor, they'll mimic your neighbor's voice. So this guy said, "Why you ain't watching Trump in Chinese?" What? What are you talking about? Sometimes I wonder how these evil get so close. What do you mean, how these evil get so close? Congratulations, Pandora Roy. I hope this new job is good. So yeah. Um, yeah, man, I hate to, you know, I think I'm a pretty credible source when it comes to like yeah. Thank you, Jem Jem. Appreciate you. I think I'm a pretty credible source, you know. I try to be, you know, I don't go into like the whole spiritual aspect of everything and, you know, not because I'm not spiritual. I mean, obviously, I'm a spiritual person, but I try not to go into the spiritual aspect of everything and, you know, the paranormal as well because it's not relevant to the conversation when it comes to bringing awareness to the subject. It hurts the mission more than anything, you know. It's not that I'm not spiritual. I am. And when it comes to like the paranormal, I'm like, iffy, you know. But when it comes to like the spiritual, I'm there. I just don't like to talk about it because it you lose a lot of people when you bring up these topics or when you approach this subject from that angle. Because of that, I feel like I'm a pretty trustworthy source when it comes to talking about the targeted individuals program. I'm here to let you know they can read our minds. There's no two ways about it. They can read our minds. They're doing it. I mean, not that it matters, right? It doesn't matter that they can read our minds. It really doesn't. I'm just letting you know they can. Do with that information what you will. I suggest doing nothing with it. Good Lord. Mind our business, do our own thing, stay out of everyone's business, but still. Yeah, man. You know, there was this I was having this conversation with a friend of mine, a lady in Australia. She's super into like the spiritual and the paranormal and she's very intelligent. She's seen a lot, she's gone through a lot as well. And she was saying how it's really funny how these people, you know, they dish it out but they can't take it. Like as soon as you call them out on what they're doing, they immediately become the victims, you know, Darvo. And I thought it was really funny. It was interesting because it is true. It's like I wouldn't be calling you out. I wouldn't be calling you out if you didn't, you know, go through such lengths to mess with my life. It does make one wonder though. It always annoys me when people ask this question, but it does make one wonder why. I mean, I know, like at the end of the day, it's usually about money. Nonetheless, I can't help but to ask, why? You have this technology. Why use it this way? Why? I think that when you're not an evil person, understanding evil people is very complicated. It's very hard. You never truly can. I do want to mention something. There was this guy. Go somewhere else, dude. Uh I there was this guy, uh his username was écoutez, which means listen in French, who basically, well, he said he wrote two comments. The first comment he wrote, I mean, you guys can't see it anymore because I muted him, but he said, "Why ain't you watching Trump in Chinese?" And I was just so confused by what he said. Watching Trump in Chinese? What? And then he said, "You sound MAGA." When he said, "You sound MAGA," I just muted him. Uh, but I went to his channel, and I'm looking at his profile picture. I mean, this has to be one of the most unattractive human beings I've seen in a long time. I just wanted to mention that you have a face only a mother can love. Anyways, I just had to put it out there. His face upset me. And he's like the typical you know, the typical old man using a phone for the first time, taking a picture of himself. Like his profile picture is like this. So I'm sorry. That was a bit negative, but I really wanted to point it out. You are unattractive, my friend. Letting you know they're listening. They're still testing it out on us. They have passed the testing phase. It's reality now. Huh. Gangstalkers ask irrelevant questions, don't they? They sure do. The supernatural is way more natural than what people think, and is why most people miss it. Hmm. Hmm. Oh, I have a rebel hair here, plucked. So for everyone, yeah, it's you know, I have to say I can't help but to feel both disappointed and impressed at the same time because I kept thinking to myself when I found out about gang stalking, before I started believing in V2K, when I found out about gang stalking, I thought to myself, I thought we'd have flying cars by now. Instead, we have secret government torture programs. But now I know that they have V2K, remote neural monitoring. They can read people's thoughts. I mean, of course, they're using it to torture people, which is terrible, right? But also, the world has flying cars. Maybe not everywhere, though. What, helicopters? Helicopter is technically a flying car. Technically. How do you protect yourself from them? You're asking the wrong person. I just found out. It was real, like a little over 12 hours ago. You're asking the wrong person. Look what they did to him. Nikola Tesla. Oh, don't be scared. This is not scary. The only way to be it is by being high. Pray fast if you can. Shadow work the whole nine. I agree. I agree. Focus on the things you can control. Focus on making yourself better, stronger. No, I had a really good time today. Um, Before I went to the store to get my wife soda, I was cutting my hair. I've become really good at it. It's a fun time. And by doing it myself, I can always choose what I want, you know? A funny sentence I repeat often to because I'm a part of like some Reddit communities, self barbers and waivers. I don't know if you guys can see the waves, but um, I often, repeat to people who are starting out with learning how to cut their own hair is that the only thing separating you from being being able to cut your own hair from being a self barber is the the willingness to wear a hat for a couple of days. It's like, yeah, you're gonna mess it up, probably. Wear a hat. Anyways, I just thought that was funny. I just thought that was funny. I wanted to share that. By understanding the spiritual behind this technology, we're about to protect ourselves from its harm. You know, when it comes to the spiritual, I'm not gonna lie and say like I don't inform myself. I just feel like there's too much information out there and too much conflicting information. I don't know who to believe. Um, you know, people blame different people for it and things of that nature. And a lot of people will say, "Oh, it's alien technology," or it's there's no such thing as aliens. The aliens, they're us from the future and things. I'm just like, yo. Anyways, I try not to think too much about the spiritual aspect or like the paranormal aspect. I just focus on the Bible. Jem just said something that's really funny. Boy, am I glad you're here tonight. She says, someone told me that I have trust issues. I replied, and you got lying issues. Damn, that's accountability for you. I like that. I like that very much. It's really funny how, all these data centers are popping up. And here's my thought on data centers, right? People will have you believe that data centers they're for AI. It's about AI. It's all about AI, right? That's why we're building so many data centers. It's for AI. I don't believe it. I don't believe it one bit. You know who had data centers before, AI? The NSA. The NSA had data centers. You know what the NSA did? Spy on people, spy on civilians, spy on Americans, spy on people worldwide. They had data centers because they were spying on people. I don't think these data centers are being built for AI. I mean, of course, these companies need data centers, but not as many as they're building. I think that these data centers are going to be used to create the police state. And you see all these towns that are voting against data centers, and then their politicians are basically deciding to build them anyways. Like they'll put it to a vote, people will vote no, and then the politicians are just like, "We'll do it anyways." And then people are like, "What the hell?" And then they're just like, "Well, it was a mixed response." And people are like, it really wasn't. Everybody said nay. Before before I before 2020, I was please don't judge me. Before 2020, I was a liberal. I was a liberal. Like full on, I was a liberal. After 2020, I became a conservative, and now I consider myself a libertarian. Anyways, let's not talk politics. 15-minute smart cities. Oh man, I saw this lady today on Facebook. This Jamaican lady, and she was saying, "I can't believe I was tricked into moving to Canada." She was saying how, they sell you this dream, this idea of like success is getting a job, being able to afford a car, a house, putting your children through school, through college, and things of that nature. What they don't tell you is that once you attain these things, you have to keep working constantly in order to keep them. And then they raise the price of everything, and you can't even enjoy your life. It's cold, you know, 7 or 8 months out of the year. It's too cold to enjoy anything, to enjoy the weather. Um, she said, this is like slavery. And I thought it was funny because my wife said the same thing. Because my wife came here to Canada when she was 15. She lived in Africa, in West Africa. And oh man, you just mentioned Elon. I want to talk about Elon Musk in a second. But my wife was saying how, this is a plantation. This living here is living in it's like living in a plantation. You work, you work, you work, and you have nothing to show for it. In Africa, if you work really hard, you will have something to show for it. You will be the owner of something. You know, you'll have something to show for it, and you can enjoy the fruits of your labor. Here, you really can't. The more you work, the more you have to work. And then I told her about property tax. She did not know. She did not know about property because there's no property tax in Africa, in West Africa where she's from. If you buy something, it's yours. You know. And I was telling her about property tax, and she was like, "What's a property tax?" And I was saying, like, yeah, if you buy a home, you still have to pay property tax on it every year or every month. And she was like, "What happens if you don't?" I was like, "Oh, they'll take back your house." She was like, "What?" I was like, "Yeah." She's like, "Even if you finish paying it off?" I was like, "Yeah. Even after you finish paying it off, you still have to pay property tax. And if you don't pay property tax, they take your house." She couldn't believe it. And then I was telling her, there's property tax on everything, you know? Like, yeah, you bought a car. The car is yours. You have to pay for a license. You have to pay for your plates. You still have to pay for that every year. You have to pay insurance. You have to pay insurance. And then, of course, once you're in trouble, you have an accident, the insurance will tell you, no, you're not covered. Sorry. Jim says, yeah, she's right. I can attest to that. It's not like that in Africa yet, but it's coming. I don't doubt it. I don't doubt it. Yeah. Nikola Tesla, his invention of free electricity. You saw what happened to him, huh? Much of his research was stolen, nowhere to be found. A lot of these scientists who are researching free energy, they vanish. What is this world? What is this world we live in? What is this? I'm not gonna lie to you, I'd like to begin by saying I'm not a flat earther. I'm not. I promise you I'm not. I'm not. But when I listen to flat earthers, I'm just like, you sound like me. Allow me to explain. Here you are trying to convince others of something that everyone knows to be untrue, and nothing people say or show you can convince you otherwise, because you seem to have some knowledge that we don't. And I'm just like, I'm very curious to know, what do they know? Well, not that curious. Gracie Green just said something really interesting about Tesla. With the corrupt politicians on board now, things are being taxed. They about starting solar taxes, for goodness sake. The sun is free. Ay, ay, ay. You know, we have like in Canada, we have a tax on, like a sugar tax. Like if you buy candy, there's like added fees for anything that's sweet. And they say, oh, it's for the good of like Canadians' health. If sweets are more expensive, they'll stop buying it. How about you stop making them? It's really funny how Gem is like, what? And you have no idea. You guys think you pay you think you pay a lot of taxes. Like in the US, I think that the taxation is like 30 or 30% maybe. Here it's 50. For as long as we collectively allow it. Simple as that. Yeah. We're gonna have to sit everybody down and make them watch the movie Ants. But you know, they've caused so much division within people. And you think to yourself, like, you see all the division in people, left, right, men, women, immigrants, all of it, right? And you think, this is awful. There's so much division. It's on purpose. It's all designed. It's all designed. Which is why, I hate racism. I find racism to be so dumb. But I don't hate racists. I could I could honestly care less if you're racist, you know? Because deep down, I know that you're probably not even a bad person. You've been indoctrinated. You're a victim. You're really a victim. If you're a racist, you're a victim. That's how I see it. Anyways, God bless you, Tarai. Taxation in Canada is actually pretty crazy, especially in the province state where I am. It's the second worst. We're the second highest taxed uh, state in Canada. It's really bad. It's really bad. Where are the racists? There are no racists. I was just saying how like they do a lot of things to cause division among people. Racism, sexism, you know. And I was just saying how when I encounter racist people, I don't get angry. Though I hate racism itself, I just find it to be such a stupid thing. Um, I don't hate racist people because I view them as victims. You know, if you are racist, you're a victim of propaganda. Because I mean, it's sort of the same thing where people started hating Muslims and Arab people after mid-September in 2001. People really started to hate Muslims and Arabs. Meanwhile, I'm thinking to myself, you don't know any. If you hate Arab people, it's because you don't know any. If you hate Arabs, you've probably never met an Arab person. If you hate black people, you probably don't know black people. You don't know any. That's the truth. Like, perhaps you had like some bad encounters with some of them or whatever. But if you actually hate these people that you have been brainwashed into hating, it's more than likely because you've never met one. Anyways, yeah, anyone can be racist. I'm a little racist sometimes, you know. I mean, I'm not like actually racist, like go back to your country, you know. Like I'm not racist like that, but sometimes I have like, prejudices about certain cultures or whatever. But I would never be like, I'm not going to interact or show any respect to someone because of their, I don't care. You know, otherist. Yeah. I mean, I would say that my racism starts and ends at there are certain accents that I have a really hard time understanding when they speak English. I'm not gonna say who it is, but that's pretty much it. It's like I find it very hard and frustrating trying to understand certain people when they speak English with this particular, well, these two particular accents. I mean, other than that, I'm just like everybody has their. We're all the same. We're all the same. We're all just people. Exactly. I would never, mistreat someone because of their race or whatever. But yeah, there's a lot of division, and what Lorna was saying was for as long as we collectively allow it, the things will keep going the way that they are going for as long as we collectively allow it. And it's really hard to get people together to make our situations better because of the division within people. Alabama. The Alabama accent is not hard to understand at all. The people I was talking about are in Asia. Both people I was talking about are in Asia. I have a hard time understanding their accents when they speak English. But the Alabama accent is not hard to understand. The Southern accent, any Southern accent, whether it be like Southeast or Southwest. Yeah, we're all the same everywhere, you know. I remember when Trump said that the Haitians in Springfield were eating the cats and the dogs. I was like, man, I would hate to be like a elementary school student or a high school student in Springfield, Massachusetts. Was it Massachusetts? I can't remember. I can't remember. But in Springfield, the day after the president of the United States said that your people eat cats and dogs. Damn. And another funny thing is, with I was talking about that with my wife because she's from West Africa and Afrobeat is like the thing now. It's like super like spread and like they play it in clubs and things of that nature. And I was telling her how when I was a kid, being Haitian was not cool. Nowadays, I'll see like a bunch of white kids and Arab kids walk out of school and everybody's talking with the same accent as my parents and they're using words in my language to speak. These are people that are not Haitian at all. They're black, they're Algerians, they're Moroccan, they're sorry, they're white, they're Algerians, Moroccans. but they speak words in my language because my language is part of the culture. It's sort of like if you go to Toronto, people use Jamaican slang. In Montreal, it's Haitians. People use Haitian slang and they'll use Haitian words. So you can see like a group of kids, not a single black kid in there, but everybody's talking in an accent with the accent of my country of origin. At first it was very confusing for me. I was like, why are these kids talking like my dad and my mom? Like, what is this? These kids are white. What is happening? You know? Um, but our culture, the Haitian culture has become very popular where I live. Much like, Drake is not Jamaican, but he uses Jamaican slang in his raps because he's from Toronto. But I was explaining to her that when I was a kid, just being black, forget being Haitian, just being black, it would get you bullied. Being Haitian was worse. And she was like, "What? Why?" And I was like, "Because it was racist." They were like, and she was like, "And these racist people that you went to school with, like, they're still here?" And I was like, "Of course they're still here. They're still here, but they just don't. They either changed, they've grown, they've realized, more and more of us came within their they've dealt with more and more of us and realized that we are not that different, or they're just hiding it, which is like, yeah, you probably should." But she has a hard time believing it. Anyways, they say Bumba. Bumba? What's Bumba? You mean Bumba Clot? Bumba Clot. Yeah, I mean you know, they say, Jamaican words. Like instead of saying, you know, uh, home, they say yard. Or what else? What other patois slang do they use? I mean, I'm trying not to say like the curse words, but I do know the curse words. But I do understand patois. This is a funny story. This is a really funny story I want to share with you guys when it comes to patois. I think I shared it before, but it's so funny. When I was living in West Island, the West Island of Montreal, the west of the island of Montreal, they call it West Island. Um, West Island is pretty much like Ontario. Ontario is pretty much like, well, Ontario is where Toronto is. It's the state, the province where Toronto is, and it's English speaking. Montreal is a French speaking city. But West Island is like an extension of Ontario almost. So everybody speaks English. And I remember when I moved there, I didn't speak English. But like I went to a French school, but everyone at that French school speaks English. So I moved there and I had a neighbor. There were three boys and their moms, and they were Jamaicans. It was Andrew, Stephen, and Damien. Andrew, Stephen, and Damien. Stephen was a bit younger than me, but he was the closest in our age. Sorry, no, Andrew. Andrew? Yeah, Andrew was about my age, but a bit younger. Stephen was a young kid, very funny kid though, very extremely funny kid. And Damien was like, was older than me, like maybe 2 years older than me, 2 or 3 years. Anyways, so I'm talking with Andrew, and I was at his house, and we're chilling, whatever. And make no mistakes, when it comes to the language patois, like Jamaican patois, it's just English, but it's like old English and like broken English, but it is English. the words that they're using are English words. There is no like invented words or not many invented words in patois. Bomboclat means bomba is your bum, clot is a cloth. Bomboclat. That's what it means, right? And anyways, I'm sorry for for the graphic description of what bumbleclot means, but there are not many invented words in patois, but the way that they say their words and the words that they use to say words to say other words, um, like for example, like a Jamaican person is talking to you and wants you to come closer. Instead of saying come closer to this, they'll say forward, forward, but they'll say it like forward, and you have to sort of figure out that what they mean is come forward, you know. Anyways, uh, I'm chilling with my friend Andrew, and his mom shows up, and she's talking to me, and I'm saying hi, how you doing, blah blah, and then she says something to me, and I turn to my friend Andrew, and I look at him, and I go, "What language is your mom speaking?" And he turns to me and he goes, "English." And I turn to her and I go, "What? What did you say?" And she repeats it, and I'm like, "There's no way she's speaking English, bro. What the hell is she saying, you know?" And she's like, she's looking at me like I'm being impolite to her. But I'm like, I mean, at the time, like I said, I barely spoke English at the time, you know? I was 13. English is not my first language. English is my third language. I started learning English when I was 13, like about 12, 13. And she's talking to me, and I'm looking at her in her face, and I'm like, I don't know what you're saying. But she can clearly understand what I'm saying, and from that point on, she didn't like me very much, which is understandable. But yeah, contrary to like the Haitian language is like it's a French Creole, so a lot of words are French, but there are a lot of you know invented words. But then again, there are some much like Jamaican patois, there are some words that like for example, Jamaicans instead of saying home, they'll say yard. And Haitians instead of saying home will say la caille, which means the cage, because we're a nation of slaves. Like I'm going to la caille, I'm going la caille, I'm going back to my cage. Um, Very sad, but it's part of our history, right? But in Jamaican, there are barely any added words. They speak English. Why was I talking about this? I don't know. I don't remember. Oh yeah, I was talking about accents. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, guys. Uh, they can read our minds. Uh, People understand English differently. Not spoken English is different from written English. That's true. I mean, it's sort of like, the English or the Australian accent when I was younger or when I was learning English. I couldn't understand any of it. I was like, what are these people even saying? And, nowadays I understand it. My wife doesn't. She doesn't understand, like I think I was watching Misfits with her and they have, English accents. She was watching it in French. I was like, why are you watching that in French? She was like, because I don't understand what they're saying. And, I just kind of realized like, oh, right, they have accents. She speaks English pretty well, but she's very new at learning English. Her country it's in West Africa, but it's a French-speaking country, much like mine. So she learned English as a third language, just like me. So understanding accents is very complicated. The story of the Tower of Babel speaks of that time. People understand English different. Yeah. Yeah. I'm sorry if you did not find the story funny. My bad. I thought it was very funny. I'm sorry. There's a hysteria in Dearborn, Michigan too. What's going on in Dearborn, Michigan? Whatever is going on, it feels like we are indeed living in an alternate timeline where morality is basically non-existent. Justice is fleeting. Evil, satanic, Luciferian people have preferential treatment. Certain people are being renamed. Skip. What the actual F is going on here? Where is Gandalf the White when you need him to save the day? Referencing Lord of the Ring, when all hopes looks lost, Gandalf shows up with backup to destroy the evil one. Yeah, that is true. That's a really good point. Sorry, I'm not reading from the chat. I'm reading from like a private group chat that I have with other TIs. Yeah, it was just to think that like they have access to this kind of technology and that's what they're using it for, to torture innocents. Where am I? Where are we? What is this? It really makes you feel like going through this, it really makes you feel like you fell asleep and you woke up in like a different dimension. Because this is not the world that I knew growing up. I will say though, it is it's it beats the hell out of still thinking that the government wants nothing but the well-being of its people. There are people who are going around on their day-to-day life, and that's what they think. They think, oh, the government is here for us and to help us. And I still haven't heard from Andrew McCready. I would really like to hear from him. I hope he's okay. Anyways, I think I'm gonna leave. Anybody want to talk about something, get something off of their chest before I go, or something like that? I think I might, edit a video, put something out. I haven't put out a video in a while. I put out some shorts, but no videos. How was your day, guys? How was your week? How are you? Anybody want to get something off their chest? before I go. Respond. Respond to what? I'm sorry. Have you heard of 3D, 4D, and 5D? A lot of people are living in these dimensions. No, I haven't heard that. I haven't. Hey, Deb. How's it going? What's 4D and 5D? What is that? Wealth transfer. Hey, making money on stocks. That's what's up. I like to hear that. Keep it going. Wealth transfer. 5D. Well, I mean, I want to, but I think you're gonna have to give me more information on what 5D is because, if I just put 5D into Google, I don't think they're gonna talk to me about what you're talking about. Fifth dimension to the standard 4D space-time. Theoretical physics for modeling extraspatial directions. 5D consciousness refers to a state of being based on unconditional love, unity, and higher awareness, moving beyond 3D duality. Is that what you're talking about? No, I did not say that I fall asleep. I'm sorry. You might have misunderstood, or maybe I didn't explain it well. Um, what I said was, it feels like I fell asleep and woke up in a different world because the world that I knew, you know, before I was aware of gang stalking is not the world that I'm in now. You know, it's I had the same experience when I sort of started doing my research on narcissistic personality disorder, where uh, a lot of the relationships that I had, I viewed them one way, and then now that I'm aware of narcissistic personality disorder and, you know, just cluster B personality disorders in general, I'm able to see people for who they really are and what they really are. It does feel like, you know, it's sort of like the Matrix, or it feels like the rose-colored glasses were taken off of my eyes and I can see things clearly for what they truly are. And when it comes to the whole gang stalking program, it's like on another level. It's like I see the world with no colors now, you know. I mean, I hate to use that example because it's so negative and dark. But I mean, it does feel that way. It feels like I've been fooled into believing that the world was one way and that we as humans were one way and that the government was one way. And now it's just like, no, 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 the no. These evil demons that we read about, they're among us. They're not in books, you know. They're among us and they're feeding on us, on our energy, on our suffering. We were fooled to believe our families were good. Hey, Harriet, how are you? Yeah, you know, I think that's one of the I think that's one of the toughest realization that I've had to come to terms with is realizing that my family's in on it. I mean, now I've like fully accepted it, and I'm just like, it is what it is, whatever, you know. They're just people. But I always thought that my family was a loving family and that we loved each other and we would have each other's back no matter what. To see some of my family members actively participate in the destruction of my life, it's very puzzling. I mean, it was very puzzling at the time. I mean, now I can understand how it happened because I know how this program operates, you know? I also do understand that to a certain extent, you cannot get someone to do certain things without this kind of behavior already being in them. And, you know, and not only this kind of behavior already being in them, but also them being unaware that they're being played. Like I have flaws, you know, I have certain flaws that before, like for example, arguing with people online, you know, I did not have the wisdom to not do that. So for many years I did that. And it created a lot of anger in me and a lot of frustration, you know. And it was like kind of a snowball effect. I don't, I could not say personally, or, you know, I can honestly say personally that there is nothing, or at least I don't think, I'm trying to give my family grace here, but I don't think that there's anything that could have been done to me that would have made me become abusive to my family members. Go watch Inception. I've seen it Inception like two or three times. It's a really great movie. Super long, but it's a really great movie. But yeah, you know, to see my family go against me like that, it's very shocking, especially considering the amount of people that are participating in it. Now it's less shocking when I speak to other TIs who are going through the same thing. I'm just like, oh, I'm not special. You know, because a big part of this traumatic experience is the belief that you are the only person going through it when you don't have when you would like you know when you're not online and you haven't found the community, you know, and you don't know the term gang stalking and you just think that you know your family is like ganging up on you. It can be it's very traumatic and it's a very isolating experience. But when I found out that other people were going through the same thing, if not worse, with their families, you know, like I was talking to this lady who I'm friends with on Facebook, and she's basically saying that her family targeted her for her inheritance. I was just like, damn, that's crazy. and I believe her. But I mean, in my in you know, when it comes to me, it's not for any inheritance. Now, are they being paid? Are they participating in this for money? Possibly, could be. But to tell you the truth, I don't think so. I really, and again, the other thing that I'm thinking, not again, but the other thing that I'm thinking is if they have technology to beam voices inside of people's heads and they have technology to read people's minds, do they also have technology to sort of mind control people into doing things? I mean, I'll tell you the truth, I don't think so. I don't know, but I don't think so. But it is something to consider. Going through this experience, you really have to sort of open your mind to the possibilities of technology because, I mean, obviously, 12 hours ago, I did not believe that people, I mean, not really. I did not really believe that they could read our minds. I thought there's a high possibility, you know, there's a really high possibility, but I didn't really believe it. I believed in V2K. I really believed in V2K. Though I had never experienced it, I really believed in it because enough people told me about it. Enough people talked to me about it, and I had seen enough to go, it's possible. They're talking about it. They're saying it's happening to them. I've seen the interviews and I've heard people say how it's being used, and they're all saying the same story. Come on. At a certain point, one can only start to believe in it, especially considering, one of the reasons why we don't believe in it. Well, one of the reasons why I didn't believe in V2K was not just because of how unbelievable of a technology it is, but also it's in the way that they're using it. They're using it to torture individuals by playing like um, AI voice bots in there long to torture them, and then you know all these people are saying the same things. Like, oh, they're saying derogatory things, and they're pretending to be my dead father, my dead mother, whatever. And you keep hearing these stories repeatedly. Eventually, you're just like, mm, they're not lying. All of them cannot have the exact same delusion, you know? Which I just thought about Martin Lawrence right now, where he was like running down the street. Uh, I think he was naked or like in a hospital gown or something, and he was saying, "They're after me. They're after me." Anyways, um, but yeah, 12 hours ago, I did not actually believe. I did not have enough. Um, I did not hear about it enough to form a solid opinion about it. I went, it's probably happening, but I wouldn't say that I believe that it's real. And 12 hours later, here we are. I believe in it enough to speak on it and tell you guys it's real. They're doing it. They're reading our minds. It's so stupid though. Like it's such a dumb thing. Um, I was thinking to myself, they can read our minds, and the way that they're using it, well, at least in my case, the way that they use it is by sending targeted ads about the things that I was thinking about. But then again, most of my gang stalking has been exactly, well, I mean, a lot of my gang stalking has been exactly that. It's just like sending targeted ads about things I've experienced during the day, or doing directed conversation to sort of let me know that I'm being spied on. Like, it seems unbelievable until you realize, this whole reading your mind and then sending ads, like targeted ads at you. It seems unbelievable until you realize that no, that's their MO. It's exactly what they've been doing. You know, they're basically spying on, most of my experience has been they spy on me and then they say, no, they do directed conversation and say things to make him, just to kind of send out the message of, we're spying on you. We know what you're doing at home. What a what a grim reality. Because I mean, essentially, with this kind of technology, essentially, all you know, all issues in the world could be solved, couldn't they? Give me 1 minute. Playing a little rough, ain't you? Sorry about that. I used to have VR meta goggles and an ad came on using my name. Yeah, I believe you. Actually, animals actually are telepathic, are they? They are? So Neo knows when I need him to stop scratching his bed and destroying it. And he's doing it on purpose? That's what you're saying? I'm just kidding. I'm just joking. Kevin is doing a great job helping a lot of people. Thank you, Lorna. Appreciate you. That's very nice. That's very kind. I had not found your channel. I'd still believe I deserve it all. And all the BS they said. Woof. Well, I'm glad you found my channel. uh, you know, what got me to the point where I'm at right now, which is I'm not perfect. All right. I'm letting you know right now, I am not perfect. I've made a lot of mistakes in my life. I have a lot of character flaws, you know. Um, there are certain situations that I did not handle very well. That I, the way that I handled them, I'm very ashamed of, to the point where I'm not even willing to speak about it. I'm not even willing to talk about that. That's, that these are the things that led me to believe that perhaps I deserve this. When I thought that this was only happening to me, and I thought of the mistakes I've made, the sins I've committed, I thought to myself, well, perhaps I truly deserve it. And then I saw this video from Dr. De facto on YouTube. And the video was, I mean, I was already doing my research and I had realized that, oh, I'm not alone. But then I saw this video about Dr. De facto because Andrew McCready mentioned directed conversation. He said the words directed conversation. And then he explained what it was. And I was like, this has been happening to me for almost 20 years. So I put in directed conversation in the YouTube search bar, and it brought me to Dr. De facto's video, which is titled Directed Conversation. And when I listened to his video, he basically said, you're no different than anyone else. You're not different than anyone else in this world. All right? Everyone makes mistakes, and what does everyone need, want, and deserve? Grace, mercy. And this is why I always end all of my lives by saying, you deserve grace, you deserve mercy. It's to remind you, I know you're not perfect. It's to remind you, I know you're not perfect. I know you probably did not handle, you know, being gang stalked perfectly. And, you might have made a couple of mistakes in your life. Perhaps they're small, perhaps they're huge. You're human. You deserve grace. You deserve mercy. And more than anything, you deserve privacy, you know? Basic human right, God-given right. You deserve privacy. And this is what Dr. De facto said. He said, um, beyond beyond that, you know, this program, it goes against the laws of humanity. It goes against God's laws. It goes against the laws of humanity. This is wrong. I don't care what you did. I don't care what your sins are. I don't care what your secrets are that make you feel like you could possibly deserve this. I don't care. I really don't care. I don't care at all. You deserve grace. You deserve mercy. And one thing that he said as well was, well, I think I mentioned it, but he just said this really hit me. It was, you are no different than anyone else. You're human just like everyone else. You know, so, God, certain people who are participating in your gang stalking, a lot of people who are participating in your gang stalking, if you were privy to their private lives, you would be baffled at the fact that they're able to, pass judgment on you. They're able to, you know, forego their own sins, look at yours, and hand down punishment on you as if they've never done anything wrong, as if they haven't done a million things worse than what you've done or what they're being told you've done. So this is one of the most important messages that I try to spread. And I'm glad you brought that up, um, believer. This is one of the most important message that I try to spread is, you're no different than anyone else. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, what you did. It doesn't matter what they have on you. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I was talking to someone. I'm not gonna say who it is, but she's in the chat right now. And I was talking to her, and she was saying that, you know, she was disciplining her child, verbally, and then she received I believe it was a complaint about child abuse from CPS or something of that nature, right? I can't remember quite the details quite well. I'm not gonna name who it is, but after she explained that to me, she told me, I swear to you, Kevin, I did not raise my hand at my child. I did not abuse my child. I'm being accused of child abuse here. That's not what happened. And I really had to emphasize, even if you did, even if you were abusive to your child, I'm not saying that it's okay. That's like that's completely besides the point I'm making. Whether you're for corporal punishment, whether you're against corporal punishment, that's up to you. You know, I have my opinion on it, and sometimes my opinion about it changes. Sometimes, right now I'm against it. Sometimes I might change my mind. Sometimes I do change my mind, depending on the situation. If I see something crazy, like I saw a kid slapping his mom, immediately I was like, get him. That was like my immediate thought. Get him. Do him a favor right now. Get him. You know? I'm just saying. She was telling me like I swear to you, I promise you, like I did not abuse my child, blah blah blah. And I'm I just thought it was very important to let this person know, even if you did. Say you did. Say you were, in a moment of impatience and anger, you did something that you regret, or you did something that can be qualified as child abuse. S- So what? Like, I'm not saying so what as in it doesn't matter that you were abusive to your child. I'm saying, does that mean you deserve to be gang stalked, tortured? Oh, absolutely not. There's there is nothing. Think of the worst thing you could do. Jeffrey Dahmer doesn't deserve to be gang stalked. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? John Wayne Gacy doesn't deserve to be gang stalked. I mean, yes, if you are a Jeffrey Dahmer or a John Wayne Gacy, you deserve justice. This is not justice. And a lot of the a lot of the gang stalking, the tactics are basically built around trying to shame you, trying to make you believe and almost accept that you deserve it. They're trying to get you to think you deserve it. No one deserves this. No one deserves this. I don't care if you took a belt to your child's ass. I don't care. No one deserves to be gangsta. We all deserve grace and mercy. Period. That's all there is to it. And we're all humans. We all make mistakes. No one cares what you have to say, buddy. Sorry, there was an unintelligent person in the chat. I'm sorry, guys. Yeah, I mean, Gem, I was beaten as a kid, pretty bad. I was punched in my face, stomped on, thrown on the ground. You know, my mother would give me 25 lashes with a belt, an extension cord, crazy stuff like that. You know, she's from a country that was built by uh, freed slaves. Like this is not an uncommon thing in our culture. Children are beaten pretty bad, you know? It's unfortunately part of our culture. And I didn't hate my mother for beating me. I mean, I don't hate my mother now. I don't talk to her, but it's for a different reason. It's not because she beat me as a kid. Now, I will say I don't think that beating your kid is like a good thing. I think you should probably not do that. There are other ways that are very effective to discipline your child without resorting to um, corporal punishment. But I wouldn't say that I'm against corporal punishment either. I would say that I'm probably not going to do that if I have a kid. But in the same token, I also feel that we're all humans. And for example, if you are, well, I'm not going to start talking about how to raise a kid. That's like beyond the relevancy of the conversation, I think. But I will say that, we're all humans, and if you were if you were beaten as a kid, there's a high chance that even if you don't want to, you know, inflict physical pain on your child, in moments of frustration, you still might, because it's something that you've learned as a kid. Monkey see, monkey do. Unfortunately, my parents made us clean up the entire house. Yeah, it's pretty smart. That's actually pretty smart. I like that idea. I'm the kind of parent, or I think I would be the kind of parent that, like, instead of like wasting my energy beating you, I'll be like, give me 50 push-ups. That sounds like a sounds like a good punishment to me. Give me 200 jumping jacks now. What did you say to your mother? We're running laps. Get your shoes on. Go. That sounds more like something that I would do, I think. I'm not wasting my energy, you know. What if you're a girl and you don't like push-ups? Huh? Do you want 25 lashes? I'm joking. I'm joking. I'm kidding. I don't care. Give me push-ups anyways. That's the point. You don't like push-ups? That's the point. Don't disrespect your mother if you don't like push-ups. Think about it next time. Anyways, the very important point I'm making is no one deserves gang stalking. Don't let them trick you, fool you into believing that you have done anything that is worthy of being gang stalked. Nothing. Nothing. Nothing you could possibly do would make it that you deserve to be gang stalked. Nothing. We're all humans. No matter what you do, no matter what you've done, no matter what sin you've committed, the probability is that most of us have as well. You know, It's funny you say that. Jem Jem said, over here, you can't even speak when your parents are talking. It's funny you say that because in my culture, you can't talk when, it's not just that you can't talk when an adult is talking or when your parent is talking. It's if you speak while they're speaking, you'll get beat for that. And then if you don't speak while they're speaking, they'll hit you and say, answer me when I'm talking to you. And then when you answer, they'll beat you and say, don't talk when I'm speaking. It's a little game that they play. It's extremely narcissistic. Uh, but they're a nation you know of slaves. Haiti was enslaved for centuries and they freed themselves. So African moms are scarier than dads. My father has never put his hands on me, ever. Not one time. Never. My mother put her hands on me several times. She went too far very often. And I can honestly say that she's beaten me for no good reason, you know, several times as well. And my father didn't have to beat me. He just raised his voice. I mean, he was terrifying to me. He raised his voice and I was petrified. I was like, I know what she did to me. I know what she does to me. What is this guy gonna do to me if he gets mad enough to hit me? So I never gave him a reason to beat me. But then again, he never wanted to. He never wanted to beat me. He's never hit any of his children. He has four. He's never hit any of his children ever. He didn't have to, and he didn't want to. But more than anything, he didn't have to. In my household, you will get the chance to speak after they're done. Yeah, in my household, you did not get a chance to speak. That was it was always a trick. If you make the mistake of speaking, you just fell for the trap. I hate narcissists so much. They're the weakest little apps in the universe. Can't spend 5 seconds without freaking out about emotions. Yeah, I can't be around narcissists either. I hope I didn't freak you guys out with what happened to me today. Oh, Deb wasn't here. Well, before I go, I'm just gonna let Deb know what happened to me. Um, man. So what happened was yesterday, for some reason, I was thinking about PETA, People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals. It's an organization. Everybody knows who PETA is, whatever. But I was thinking about PETA and I was thinking about this ad that Waka Flocka Flames, this rapper, did for PETA. And I was just thinking about PETA. I didn't say PETA out loud. I didn't talk to anyone about PETA. I just thought of this PETA ad. And then I opened up my fridge and I saw a yogurt that my wife had bought. And I thought to myself, I wonder if there's protein in yogurt. Perhaps I could add it to the milk that I make for one of my puppies because one of my puppies, his mother is not producing enough milk, so I'm bottle feeding him. And I took the bottle, turned it around, looked, and I realized, oh, there is protein in there. And I put it back. Now, I didn't say it out loud. I didn't research, is there protein in yogurt? None of that, right? I just opened up my fridge. I was looking for something to drink, and I just saw yogurt, and I was like, oh, in my head, I'm thinking, I wonder if there's protein in there. And I'm looking, and I'm like, oh, there is. I'm gonna add it to the milk. Great. That was yesterday. And then this morning, I wake up, and like many people, first thing I do is open up my phone. So I open up my phone, go to the Facebook app. The first thing I see is an ad for PETA. And at first I thought, well, this is strange. I was just thinking about PETA yesterday. Here is an ad for PETA. But as I'm looking at the ad, it's like you know, it's an ad about a chicken that's being treated as a pet, and this chicken has a personality, and they're just trying to get people to not eat meat, which is something that I actually agree with. I think we shouldn't eat meat because if you love animals, why are you eating them? There's a bit of cognitive dissonance here, but I'm not a vegetarian, obviously, or a vegan. Um, but yeah, I I really like the ad though because it humanized the chicken and it made me feel bad and it made me it reinforced something that I've been thinking for years. Like I should stop eating meat. This is wrong. Anyways, I don't want to like sway anybody or make anybody feel bad about it because I eat meat, right? Every day of my life I eat meat. But the point I'm making here is I saw this ad for PETA and I thought, well, this is strange. And then I scroll. The second ad I see is an ad for a yogurt, the exact same brand of yogurt that I had in my fridge. It's called Siggi's. That's the brand of yogurt. Siggi apostrophe S. Siggi's. And the tagline says, "Try our new formula with added protein." I'm just looking at it like, what's going on here, right? And I've been thinking on it, and I was thinking about the conversations I had with um, Amelia, who's the first person I interviewed on here. I had the conversation I had with Andrew McCready, who's the second person I interviewed, and then Talk with AJ, who's the third person I interviewed, I think. And all three of them said that, their V2K doesn't just respond to what they say or what they do, it also responds to what they think, which leads them to believe that they are also victims of remote neural monitoring, which means that their thoughts can be read. They can read their minds. And then I was also thinking about the cognitive liberty documentaries that I watched. The first one being Mind Control, the second one being Dystopia. It's on YouTube. Cognitive Liberty. Cognitive Liberty is the YouTube page. The documentaries are Mind Control and Dystopia. Dystopia just came out this month. And in those documentaries, they interview targeted individuals who are going through V2K as well, and all of them say the same thing. These voices in our heads, they're not just, responding to what we're doing, what we're saying, or saying things about our personal lives. They're also responding in real time to thoughts. And for a few weeks, I had been thinking about this, because there's this guy that I follow on Facebook. Can't remember his name. It's not Dave. But he's in America and he's been going through V2K for 8 years now. And he says the same thing. He says this V2K, it's not just responding, it's not just, it's responding to my thoughts. It's responding to my thoughts. And for a long time, I didn't believe in V2K, and then I started believing in V2K after I spoke to enough people who had been going through it. And however, I did not necessarily believe in, um, them being able to read our minds, read our thoughts, because I had not spoken to enough people that are going through it in order to sort of confirm it for myself, in order to change my opinion on that actual experience. And of course, I've never gone through V2K. I've never had any indication that they can read my mind. So I just kind of left it alone as a my thought on it was this is probably true, but you know, I don't believe in it beyond a reasonable doubt was the thought process that I had. Um, but with the experience I just went through, I must confirm to you they can read our minds. They can and they are reading our minds. One of the other reasons why I did not believe in it is because I thought to myself, if they have access to all these technologies, what are they doing wasting their time using it on us like this, torturing us? But then again, they're able to spy on us through our electronics, and they're using that technology to torture us. So it tracks, unfortunately. So Dan Williams, Dan Williams is the guy. He's on Facebook. Dan Williams is in Cartersville, Georgia, and he's been going through V2K for 8 years, and it's 24/7, nonstop, and he knows who's behind it. The people behind it have told him face to face that they're involved in it. So, I mean, personally, I say it doesn't matter that they're reading my mind. To me, it doesn't matter. But I only say this because there's no V2K attached to it. If there was, my opinion would probably differ more than likely. I often wonder how come I don't hear V2K? Because I know they got my brother. I don't know if he still hears voices, but I know that he did at some point, and he was being gang stalked. He was being followed. I know I've had a couple of incidents. I've never spoken on it before, and I didn't want to. I'm debating if I should right now, but I will. I know I've had a couple of incidents where I felt like my dreams were being manipulated. And then when I watched the cognitive liberty documentaries, Mind Control and Dystopia, they spoke of this, of dream manipulation. Um, so I felt a couple of times I felt that my dreams were being manipulated into sort of a directed conversation way. I never really spoke on it. But now I'm wondering, did that happen to me? I don't know. Um, but I do wonder often, like, how come my brother gets V2K and all of these people get V2K? I don't get V2K. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm glad I don't. I'm really happy I don't. Um, but now that I know that they can read my mind, I'm thinking obviously they can hit me with V2K if they want to. Anyways, I do have to go. My battery's dying. My battery's dying. Walaikum salam, Gracie. Thank you for being here. Thank you very much for being here. Reversiality, I appreciate you. Um, Thank you guys for being here. Thank you guys for listening to me ramble for 2 hours and 30 minutes. Hopefully, this was helpful to someone. Hopefully, this conversation, this interaction, helps you, and it it's something positive for you. I want you guys to always remember you deserve grace, you deserve mercy. Do not let them convince you in any way that you deserve anything that they're doing to you. You don't. And yeah, love yourself. Have a great night, guys.